Yeah. What's up, everybody? Another Sunday, another fun day. Actually, I guess technically when you guys see it, it'll be Monday fun day, right? Everybody's favorite day of the week is Monday. But yeah. Last week was very adventurous. Last week was the first week we started doing this thing. It's very productive, to say the least. Hopefully, you guys had a great week last week as well. Hopefully, you guys were able to get started on some of your goals. Start checking some stuff off that you want to get checked off on. For myself, I know I said I was going to start a journey full time, with my app, full time with my other company. So, like I said, it's very adventurous. If you didn't see last week's recap, make sure you definitely check that out. I don't know if I can put it here, if I put it there, or, YouTube's kind of weird with that. Or at least I guess I'm kind of weird, right? I got to learn all that stuff first. I'm new to this. But I'll figure it out. I'll figure out how to link it. Today, I really wanted to talk to you guys just kind of a little bit more about this journey, man. Obviously the last video was a little bit more, it was lighthearted, but it was a little bit more serious. Today I wanted to talk to you guys just about my journey, in terms of how I got to Google, right? How I got to that destination to where I can leave. How I kind of scaled up so quickly. I'm fairly young. I'm 27. I don't know if you'll be watching this a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, but when I'm making this video, right, I'm 27 years old, turn 28 next week. Not next week, next month. So my birthday's coming soon. But, how did I get from where I come from to Google by the time I was 27 and then could leave, right? That's a journey within itself. And I think it's a pretty nice story. Hopefully it can motivate somebody. For me, I'll dive into some stuff that I don't really tell too many people too often, right? Not even necessary for privacy reasons, but it's just more of insecurities. Because my journey was definitely not conventional. Yeah. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and dive straight in. For myself, this journey starts 2017. To make a long story short, I was on a run for some crimes I had committed in South Carolina, and didn't really want to return back home to Georgia because I had some crimes I was facing there as well. In addition to some other personal issues that I was having at the time, right? I didn't really want to come back home. Didn't feel like facing what I was running away from. So I went up to New York, and obviously 2017, I was 19 years old, I think. 19, getting ready to turn 20. Yeah. So I ended up making my way up there, and it turned out exactly how the fuck you would think a 19-year-old moving to New York on a run would turn out. I ended up becoming homeless. Now, with that being said, I was in school at the time, and I was able to finesse a way to leave school to where going to work up Chick-fil-A counted for credits towards my schooling. I didn't end up finishing college. Shit just happens like that sometimes. So little did I know, I didn't think I wasn't going to finish college, but I didn't finish college. But I went up there at 19 years old, came back at 20, was homeless. I had been away from campus so long that they gave away my dorm room, right? So I guess like if you're inactive for a certain amount of period, they give away your dorm room. So, they gave away my dorm room, and then I just never went back to classes. So, I was essentially a dropout. Now, that wasn't the only reason I didn't go back to classes, right? I was also having some issues with my FAFSA. I know pretty much anybody that's going through this college process, right? We can all know how much of a pain in the ass that FAFSA shit can be. So it was just the perfect melting pot of bullshit for why I ended up leaving college, not going back to college. I did have a 3.6 GPA, by the way, when I dropped out, when I left, whatever you want to call it. So I wasn't done by any measures. But yeah, came back, didn't have a place to stay, came back, didn't have my dorm room, came back, didn't have my education anymore, came back, and I did have swings outside to sleep on when I was on campus. So to make a long story short, that's what I was doing. I did have my campus job. I was working what we call, the students, we call it the phone-a-thon. But really, we were just like inside sales reps, right? We were calling for donations to the Winthrop Fund. Winthrop's the school I went to. And we were calling alumni to get them to donate money. And yeah, so that's what I was doing for a little bit. I was like, hey, F this. Like, this is not enough money. I got to get my shit together. So I ended up getting another job at this place called Groucho's. It's like a sandwich shop, man. They make really great food. My manager is a guy named Kale. Shout out to Kale. Cool guy. Great food, man. I love the bacon. I forgot what they call it, but man, for college student, man, shit was nice. That shit was nice. Always had free food. Fast forward, I ended up meeting my would-become girlfriend. And, you know, I guess she noticed I was homeless because I was probably always... It was probably the big-ass fucking bag of clothes I was fucking carrying around. It was probably the big bag of clothes I was carrying around. But to make a long story short, she ended up letting me stay with her. And, yeah, that's how I ended up not being homeless. But to get back to where the story was, right, how did I get from there at 19 to leaving, you know, the Google ecosystem at 27? One day, man, what we would do, our thing, we would go walk at Best Buys on Saturday. The Best Buy, was only one Best Buy in Rock Hill. But we would go walk at Best Buys, and there was a lot of the stuff in there that I just couldn't afford. At that time, Bluetooth headphones were just becoming a thing. Couldn't afford that shit. They cost like $300-$400 at that time because it was brand new. But the stuff I really wanted was the Google stuff, and I couldn't afford it. And it was like $50, bro. $100. At that time, I don't believe Nest was a Google product, but like all the smart home speakers, the smart home clocks that Lenovo was making, all that stuff, I couldn't afford any of that stuff. And I told her, I was like, man, you know what? I bet you those guys that work for Google get all this shit for free. And she's like, yeah, probably. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a job at Google, and I'm gonna get all this shit, all of it. Crazy fucking idea where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get a job at Google, not because it's cool to work at Google, not because of the money, but because I want the devices for free. But that's what I decided to do, and that's why I decided, you know, then and there, like, hey, I'm gonna try and figure out a plan to go work at Google. And yeah, my girlfriend, she asked me, she was like, well, how are you going to work for Google? You don't have a degree, like, you don't know how to code, you don't know how to do any of this stuff. How you can get a job at Google? I used to be angry at her for asking me that, right? I used to call her a hater, but in all fairness, like, it's a totally legit question. You know what I'm saying? How are you going to work at Google with nothing, right? How are you going to go from nothing to something? And my answer was very straightforward. I was like, hey, I'm going to get a job at Best Buy. And whenever the corporate guys come in from Google, I'm going to impress them, build relationships, and over time, I'll get a job. That's going to give me a job at Google. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen that way. 2017, I was not able to get a job at Best Buy. It was a pretty tough year, actually. I ended up having a couple jobs. Warehouse worker, fucking Foot Locker, part-time, GameStop associate, all type of shit. But Best Buy was not one of them. Fast forward to 2018, still couldn't get that job at Google. I ended up getting seasonal associate at, not a job at Google, couldn't get a job at Best Buy to get the job at Google. But I did, 2018, ended up working American Eagle seasonal associate for like inventory stocking. What else did I do? Warehouse job again, because I got fired the first time, but you know, Ross, they let you come back up 30 days. So warehouse again. Worked at Finish Line. And then we moved back to Georgia, right? We moved back to Georgia. So came back home to Atlanta. Still couldn't get a job at Best Buy here in Atlanta, bro. I couldn't get no job at Best Buy ever. So you'd think like, all right, give it up. It's time to quit. It's time to call it L, whatever the case may be. And that's what I did. You know, I had to give up that dream. And I had to get my ass to fuck to work, like, honestly. Seriously. Because we had just had our first daughter at the time. I think at this time, 2018, I had just turned 21, so we had our first daughter. And, like, I didn't have time to be chasing dreams to get free Google shit. Like, so I decided to give me a real job. delivering pizzas at Papa John's. Decided to get a real job delivering pizzas at Papa John's. And so, yeah, that's what I did, man. I delivered pizzas. It was decent money, but obviously it's fucking pizza delivery. Excuse my language, man. Y'all know this. Y'all know this about me. I cuss a lot. If you don't like it, well, you just don't like it. You know what I'm saying? But I cuss a lot. If you got kids around, you don't like cussing? Okay, well, that's the real world. They need to get fucking used to fucking cussing. No. But seriously, my apologies. I'm a gentleman. I shouldn't be cussing like that. At least not as much. But yeah, ended up getting serious, man. Got a job at Papa John's. Man, it was okay. It was okay money. A lot of people always say, like, when you're working fast food, when you're working delivery pizza food job, delivery jobs, when you're working retail, like, it's impossible to get ahead. But in all fairness, man, like, I just worked my fucking ass off. Like, I worked every day, damn near all day. I literally worked like 7 days a week. You know what I'm saying? I would work on the weekends, of course, right? Because that's when every delivery driver work. But I would also work when no delivery driver wants to work. When there's no business, I would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the morning, right? Or not in the morning. I think it was like 10 to like 3, 10 to 4, something like that my shift was. But I would always do that because nobody else would want it, and it would give me extra hours. And even if I only made $20, $30 in tips a day, like, that shit add up. So although Papa John's, like, wasn't the best job, like, I was able to save up like 5-6 bands working Papa John's because I was just getting all the extra shifts. And I was also doing DoorDash, like, outside of that. You know what I'm saying? So I was doing Papa John's, I was doing DoorDash. I was able to save up like 5-6 bands, which, like, if you talk to somebody that works a corporate job, bro, they'll tell you they have an impossible time saving up $1,000. But I was able to save up like 5-6 bands working at Papa John's. And then fast forward to 2019, I was like, you know what, man, this shit is cool, everything like that, but nah, bro, like, I got to do better, man. Like, I had this goal, and I'm not going to let go of it. I'm going to try again. So I started back applying. I started back getting denied. Until I seen the Best Buy in one of the nice parts of town was hiring. In that area, I think they were paying like $12.50 to go work in that side of town. So when I had my interview, man, I came dressed to dominate. And dominate I did. I got there, spoke to the manager, a lady named Courtney, and I told her straight up, I said, hey, Courtney, 2 things you need to know about me. I said, 1, it don't matter what job you guys need. I'm going to work that job as if I was Kobe playing in Game 7 of the finals. I said, because I'm the type of guy that even if I'm a garbage man, I'm going to have so much pride in that job that I'm going to try my best to be the best garbage man you can be. I said, so that's the first thing. She's like, well, what's the second thing? I said, the second thing is I'm willing to do it for you, to work for you at the least risk possible. I said, now the average pay is what, $12.50? She was like, yeah, somewhere around there. I said, Courtney, I'll do it for $10.25. I'll do it for $10.25. I was like, that way, you know what I'm saying, you get you some time to see how I am, to see if I'm the right person for the job. I said, but I guarantee you one thing. I said, you seem like the type of leader that's a winner. I said, you guys out here don't succeed. I said, I heard about y'all. I said, I know y'all one of the best stores. I said, y'all don't succeed by having, bad leaders. I said, now I'm one of those guys. I listen. I'm coachable. I said, I'm willing to learn. Long story short, I got the job at Best Buy. So let's look back at 2017. I'm going to work for Google. How I'm going to do that? By working for Best Buy, greeting, impressing, and building relationships with the corporate people when they come into Best Buy from Google. So step number 1, work for Best Buy. Thank God, checked off the list. Now, that was 2019. I got hired as like a part-time associate. Very difficult because I didn't get any benefits. But I did get loads of hours, so I was able to keep saving, keep stacking up more, and start investing. We'll talk about that on another day. But working at Best Buy, like, enabled me to save, invest, and at least get my foot in the door. So I'll never shit on that job ever. But it still wasn't the end goal. I started working there, and before I would ever disrespect my management team, the person that took a risk on me, the people that took a risk on me, I started learning my section, which was computers, so I could dominate. I started learning that section. I started learning about the various products and services, the Best Buy protection, the total tech plan, all that stuff, the credit card app, all that stuff, so I can start dominating. Because I knew that if I could dominate in the things that were important to the store, that would buy me leverage. That would give me leverage, right? To work towards dominating towards my personal goals, right? So I started dominating with the credit apps, the total tech plans, all that type of stuff, the stuff that matters to management. And the regional managers, they started to notice me. The district managers, they started to notice me. And some of the other managers around the store, they started to notice me. And I never was one of those kiss-ass employees. I was always a solid dude. And, you know what I'm saying? I always treat people with respect and with honor and with integrity. Not as if you're my boss, right? Because I don't have no fucking bosses. Yeah, I'll say it. But you're a leader. You earned that spot. And I'm going to treat you with respect like you're a leader. But at the same time, I'm also going to treat you like you're human. Right? I'm not just going to, hey, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Fist bump you, dap you up, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're going to chop it up. Talk about the kids. We ain't just going to talk about the Best Buy support plans, right? Building genuine relationships is what I did. So over time, I bought myself leverage to leave computers and go to other sections within the store. Smart homes, right? About 6 months later, I started going to smart home, and I established myself in Best Buy, or at least in my store, as one of the go-tos if you needed help with smart home. Not just Google, right? Not just a Nest, but smart home products, right? Anything dealing with smart technology inside your home, whether it's the cameras, right? Whether it's, even if it's like the Amazon cameras, right? It doesn't matter. I established myself as an expert. I started getting all the certifications. I started doing yada, 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 right? So when some of those reps would come into the stores, the territory managers and all that stuff, they was like, hey, who's the guy here? Simon's the guy. Okay, all right, let's talk to him. Let's see how we can sell some more of this. Let's see how we can, right? So I established myself as that. And again, that just gave me more leverage. To make a long story short, I ended up meeting Sandy. At the time, she was one of Google's territory managers. And we established a nice relationship. Hey, how are you? Very nice white lady. Race doesn't matter, but very nice lady. Hey, what's up? How are you? I'm Sandy. Shout out to Sandy. Oh man, she was amazing. And she was my gatekeeper, right? She was my gatekeeper. And just over time, after about a year, she ended up asking me like, yo, Kimon, you do so well with this stuff. Like, do you want to stay at Best Buy? Like, what are your plans? I told her straight up, like, hey, Sandy, I want to work for Google one day. Straight up. Now, she ended up telling me, like, hey, there's different tiers. We got TVC, we got FTE, we got Ender, and I had no idea what she was talking about then. But she told me all that stuff, and she said something. She said, hey, keep doing the good work, and if an opportunity presents itself, I'll be sure to throw your name in the mix. Well, one day the opportunity presented itself. They had this program called the Product Expert Program. You had to apply. Firstly, you had to get recommended by a territory manager to apply for the program, right? If you look it up now, it's like public. Anybody can do it now, right? Anybody can do it now, so it's not special. But back then it was kind of a big thing. You know what I'm saying? And Sandy, she referred me for the program. To be the Google product expert for my local Best Buy store I was working in. And to make a long story short, I participated in that for about a year. Unfortunately, no job ever came from that, but it just helped me establish more relationships. It helped me with my legacy, right? Helped build my living resume, for me to pitch myself when that time came, which, like I said, it never came from Best Buy, but it did end up coming. And even though the job at Google never came, Sandy ended up introducing me to one of our other friends, Byron, who was another territory manager. And through Byron, I met a guy, Brandon Stovall. I'm going to say his full name because, Brandon, you're the guy. Brandon Stovall, you are the man. You're the guy. Without Stovall, I ended up getting money, right, just outside of Best Buy, just from investments. But it's undoubtedly so. Without Stovall, I probably wouldn't have been able to get in at Google. Brandon Stovall was the territory manager for Roku at the time, and he ended up getting promoted. So his position was becoming available, and to make a long story short, we talked about it in store. He was like, yeah, man, they tell me you solid, man. Yeah, real cool guy, cool black dude dress. Yeah, man. All right. He's like, well, shit, every time I come up in here, you always be working. You always be yada, yada, yada. He said, so you know what? He said, I'm going to give you a call at 6:30 tonight, p.m. I'm like, all right. He's like, nah, for real. I'm going to give you a call at 6:30. What's your phone number? He said, it's going to be me and our director of operations is going to be on the call because we hiring. He said, I'm going to make sure that you talk directly to him. I was like, all right, bro. For sure, for sure. Here's my number. So I give him my number. I go home. I'm like, because, you know, let's be for real. Everybody be bullshitting. Everybody say they're going to do something, but don't actually ever do it. Now, I didn't know this guy, but ain't nobody ever for real did shit for me. Now, that's not saying nobody did nothing for me, but ain't nobody did nothing like this. Gave me their word like this and kept it. Nah, ain't nobody did nothing like this. What he did, man, 6:30 came in at 6:30 p.m. on the dot, not 6:32, not 6:45, 6:30 p.m. on the dot, bro. I got a phone call from Stovall with his director of operations. I ain't gonna mention his name. Shout out to him though, because he's a great guy too. Got a call from him, and it was up from there. Fast forward 2 weeks, man, I ended up getting a job. So I went from in 2019, I got hired at Best Buy. 2019, bro, like February, March 2019. And I got a job from Roku, I think in like October 2020, November 2020, something like that. I got that job offer. So ended up getting a job offer, ran with it. I was making $10.25 at Best Buy, and now I was salary making $65,000 with bonus. Now that 65 don't include the bonus, but it came with bonus. It came with other perks, all type of shit. And like I thought I made it, bro. I was super ecstatic. The money didn't matter more to me as did the title, as did the role, the responsibilities, just because people have for so long said like I couldn't get into the corporate world, I wouldn't do it, whatever. So to get that job, and I always tell myself like, yeah, man, I never deserve it. Whenever I tell a few people about it, like the few people I have said, I'm like, yeah, man, I definitely didn't deserve, to get that job. Nah, fuck that shit. I did deserve that shit. Especially think about it now, talking to myself about it, talking to you guys about it. Like, nah, bro, I put that work in. I did say it, don't spray it. Don't be like me. But nah, man, I did deserve that shit. And I earned that shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I went from 1025, February 2019, Best Buy, to 65, 75. I think my OT was like 85,000 with Roku. Great position, great benefits, amazing job. My life had kind of changed by then, so the money didn't really matter as much. But, like, shit, for my official job to go from there to there, I saw it as a win. I saw it as a W. I saw it as a moral victory. You know what I'm saying? The universe acting in favor when you do what you're supposed to do. When you make plans, you set out and do what you're supposed to do. Now, what the hell does that have to do with a victory if I'm talking about working at Google? It plays a very important part, because Roku for me was my proof of concept for what I could do at Google. I never gave up that idea. I never gave up that dream. But what I decided I was going to do was use Roku as my proof of concept. Like I said, it's territory sales. So I had to make sure like all my stores was hitting their numbers in terms of units they were supposed to sell and stuff like that. But, that was that job. COVID was a bitch for us that year, so we was kind of behind. And I found myself in a situation to where, I start talking about partnerships, and I start talking about, hey, I know this guy and that guy, and I start talking about pitching and yada, yada, yada. And our director of operations, and I will say his name, shout out to Leo, he goes like, yo, Kimon, if you want to do that, he said, our job is a lot more lay low. He said, you don't have to do all that type of stuff. He said, the consumers are our customers, and we don't have to pitch. We don't have to, whatever. They're just going to buy the store. They're just going to buy the products, right? Our decision makers are the store managers and their team, right? Making sure they or up to date, up to speed on whatever we got going on, right? He said, but we don't really have too much work to do. And that was true. It's a very easy job. But he was like, what you want to do, the role you want is what's called an account exec. He said, you want to get in that role. He was like, those guys close deals. Those guys try to look and expand partnership. Those guys. So we got me on the track within the company to learn that role. And I did. I was never able to get the job internally or with the company I was working with. But it taught me valuable vernacular that I can use, right, when I was in certain interviews. And it taught me valuable skill sets. And it taught me the principles of corporate B2B sales. Fast forward to summer of 2021, I got a call from Google. For a business development role, BDR role. Which, if you know anything about that, it's a downgrade from account exec, and it's a downgrade from territory sales manager. But, bro, it was cool. What we talking about? This the goal. This what I was aiming towards. So, I took the call. They told me about the role, and I said, hey, man, if I take this job, because it was less pay, it was like $45,000. The OTE for this one was $60,000, so it was less pay. But it was like commissions and all that type of stuff. The average, like if you're a top rep, you make like 75, so it was less than Roku, but it was cool. And this one, like, I 100% work remote anywhere. I can work like from home for Roku. Like, I travel a lot. Sometimes I go to Denver and like I'll just pull out my laptop, do a little bit of work, whatever the case may be. But we had audits that we had to do in store. We had inventory that we had to take in store. We had to have team management meetings in store with like some of the leaders and stuff like that. So it wasn't a completely remote role. This one was remote. It was a little bit less, but it was remote and it was Google. So I was like, all right, cool. Now I told the recruiter, I'm like, hey, just to let you know beforehand, bro, this is what I want to do for sure, but this is my goal. He's like, all right, cool. I passed it ahead. I get to the last round and the manager give me a call back. Sorry, I keep looking over. That's just my hood tendencies. Make sure ain't nobody sneaking up on your boy. But I ended up getting a call to tell me, that I had got the job. When the manager called me, just like, hey, Kimon, we want you for the role. I told her straight up, I said, hey, look, if I get this role, you guys have to promote me out of training to the corporate team, because this one was for like SMB BDR, bro. Bottom of the bottom. And I was like, if y'all can see that I have the potential, and if I kill it during training, y'all got to give me a promotion out of training to the enterprise team. 3 months later, your boy got promoted to enterprise. And not just the enterprise, but to the Google Workspace team, right? Because I got hired as a BDR on the Google Cloud team, GCP team. But they promoted me to the Google Workspace team, which is the more difficult sell, because like that shit is for free. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us have Gmail accounts. Like, it's not an easy sell, especially when our competitor is Office. Like, that kind of was the business standard for the longest. And G Suite for Business didn't have the best reputation, right? Everybody's primarily used Office, right? This is when Google Workspace was rebranding. So I was a part of that first Google Workspace team. Pretty cool. But yeah, that's what they put me on. To make to speed up this journey a little bit, I failed my first quarter. I didn't hit none of my quotas. And I did bad. But second quarter, I had, I brought in one of the largest deals, what would become one of the largest deals. I'm not going to say the client's name, but major client we all know. And then from there, they just kept coming. From there, I was like, okay, I get it. It just kept coming. And ended up becoming the #1 BDR. And, the one downside was, I wasn't a Google employee, I was a Google worker, right? It's a difference. I was TVC, temp vendor contract. So I was on contract. So it wasn't the coolest thing. And the company I was with, lost the contract. So that was a bummer. But it was good for me because even though some of my teammates got laid off, it was an opportunity for me to get another promotion. So I got promoted to Enterprise GCP team. And like I said, it wasn't like a, hey, come on, man, you're doing amazing. Like, let's promote you. It was a, hey, we're getting rid of the entire team. And it's like 3 people on this team that's doing great, and we want to move you over to the GCP team. So, now, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and act like I was the best motherfucker, got a promotion in like 6-7 months. But how it may be, you know what I'm saying, because that team lost the contract and because I was exceeding, I ended up getting the opportunity for promotion on that GCP team, which of course I took. Have no job or get a promotion. Like, what are we talking about here? And then that team got laid off. And then earlier in the year, there was they got laid off, but they told us like, hey, earlier in the year is when it's happening, whatever. And fortunately, again, bro, like, you just gotta thank God, man, for how the universe works, because fortunately there was a spot available on strategic accounts. So I ended up getting moved to that team. So although I wasn't necessarily directly at Google, I was able to hop to different teams at different levels, via the vendor and showing out with each one of my individual contract teams. So that's what I did. And then they ended up losing the contract. And, I ended up getting, like I said, moved over to strategic accounts. But by then, like a lot of people at Google, they showed a lot of love to your boy. Met a lot of recruiters, knew a lot of managers, a lot of head of sales, directors, and stuff like that. So I ended up getting an opportunity to go full-time, FTE. And I ended up becoming a full-time employee and did that for like 1.5 years, 2 years. And I actually left Google. Craziest decision. Because, oh my gosh, the 401k benefits are amazing. The employee stock plan, amazing. The 401k plan is the best. It's amazing, bro. The company contribution vests immediately. There is no vesting period. It vests immediately. And yeah, I'm not going to get into too much specifics, but just to let you know, they match 100%. Up to they match 100%. And then once you reach that first threshold, then they match 50% of your contribution. So, like, I shouldn't have left. But I left. It was the first time I did this. I was like, yeah, man, I'm going to chase my dreams full time. It's when I first had R&R Atlantic. We didn't really have much. We didn't have any process, any operations. I was just like, fuck it. I saved up a lot of money. I invested a lot of money. I got XYZ. Even though I don't have a plan on what I'm going to do, I'm going to start up this company and this is what I'm going to do. So that's what I did. I left. And even though I left Google, I still was spending money like I was still at Google. So, I was still buying designer stuff for my wife. We actually bought her another car, another BMW. Yeah, shit didn't go just too well. I had a nice amount of money saved. But when you spending $4-5 a month eating out, and then you spending $2,000 a month on groceries, and then you spending all this other money shopping every week on designer, and then going out, and you spend a lot of money quickly. And so, motherfucker, we spent it all. We lost the money. We spent it all. Had to sell some of my properties just to stay afloat. And it took me like 6 months to get another job, which fortunately, again, like, was a fucking promotion, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I ended up leveraging my Google experience with a partner to come onto their account exec, to come onto their team as an account exec, FSR, right? It was the exact title, was account exec. And yeah, so I got that role. I stayed there for about 2 years, dominated. Our leadership team ended up, my leader, our director, and our head of sales left, so that left me in a really nice spot to take another promotion about 1.5 years later, which I did early last year. But unfortunately, it's time to go. I had started building on my companies. I had started building, on Seedling. I started building more on my investment company that I left Google for. And as fun as it was, making these relationships, and as fulfilling as it was in ego, you know, like I said in my first video, it wasn't the most fulfilling in spirit. So I ended up leaving, as you guys know. But that was my journey. That's how I got to Google. Hopefully it inspires somebody. If any of y'all don't know, you know, I got the face tattoo. It's kind of faded now, but I think this one faded too. Yeah, it's another one, couple. I don't know if you can see that, but got that. I got this on my hand. You know what I'm saying? These not no shop tattoos. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know. You can tell. You can guess where I got these from. You know what I mean? These, I ain't get none of these from a shop. I have a criminal record. You know, big boy crimes too. Not no little pussy. Unfortunately, it's nothing to write about. But I've always been honest about what I've done. I've always been honest about my tattoos. I've always been very straightforward about them. And even in that situation, I was able to end up where I ended up. Right? It took me 5 years, 6 years. Let me see. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Did I get a job in 2020? 21. 5 years. Right? It took me 5 years to get there. But I got there. Looking how I look, being how I am, still being me. I talk like this to clients. Shit. For real, for sure. I talk like this to my clients, enterprise clients, strategic account clients, corporate clients. Doesn't matter. I don't care. And being me, I was able to make it. So hopefully, you know, y'all could take this journey and realize that being you can make it. I know I've been talking for a really long ass fucking time. So, you know, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits on this video. Until next time, next week, see you next week. Or if you're subscribed, you'll see my videos this week. But if you only tune in for these updates, that's cool too. Hopefully it inspires someone. Check out the fit. You know what I mean? It's a nice little fit. Look, some lay low. Y'all know every time I come on, I gotta put that shit on. But yeah, y'all be easy. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your week. Let's have a productive week. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.